So this one is for those parents who feel like they have done all they can to connect with their kids, to try to parent them differently, especially once the kids have become teenagers, that 12, 13 and up. And you feel like you've genuinely tried to change, or you feel like you have changed, and the children still are not receptive to you. They don't seem to still want to bond or connect with you, right? A lot of times in these situations, what's happened is you as the parent have traumatized them in some kind of way, or something has happened to where they couldn't trust you when they were younger. They couldn't, they didn't feel safe with you when you were younger. And this is not just physically safe. You have to understand that mental and emotional health are real. They're real things, right? A lot of us are so physical, and we can only be surface and only deal with those things that we can tangibly touch and see, right? It's so hard for us to really take mental and emotional health seriously because we can't see it, we can't feel it, we can't touch it. So because we can't see it, touch it, smell it, it's not real. And that's where a lot of people are stuck at. But a lot of times with this, in this particular situation, what you have to understand is generally from about birth to about age 9, 10, those are those really formidable years where it matters how you build that foundation with that child, right? Say for instance, the child is 2, 3 years old, right? They fall, they scrape their knee. How you handle that situation is being embedded into that child's psyche, right? So if they fall, they scrape their knee, and all you say is, oh, get up, I don't want to hear all that crying, you'll be all right. You have done so much damage and don't even recognize it. Okay. And I'm not talking about coddling. I'm not talking about always jumping to every little bump, scratch. I'm not talking about that extreme. I'm talking about in that moment, to that 2 or 3 year old, at their level of understanding, this was a traumatic experience for me. This hurt me. You did not help me in that moment. Right. So instead of just saying, "Oh, get up, you're all right," and you quit crying over just a scraped knee, you could have been like, "Hey, you good?" Checked in to really make sure they're okay. Show them that you cared, right? Show them, "Hey, it's just a little scratch. We're okay." And they can look at it and say, "Oh, I'm okay." In that moment, they felt supported and loved by their parent. It's the little things like that that were not built in the foundation of that child's psyche that has now turned into a fucking war zone, because now that they're 16, 17, 18 years old, they remember you embedded into them that you are not a safe person. You are not an emotional safe space for them. Say when they're 9, 10 years old and they get their little first heartbreak, some girl or some boy breaks their heart. That really mattered to them at that age. When they tried to come to you, or when you realized what was wrong, or you found out what was wrong, how you handled that situation mattered. You could have said, "Oh, you know what? I'm sorry, sweetheart. I'm sorry that happened. Those are going to be some things that happen in life, and I'm so sorry," and gave them a hug, validated what they're feeling. But a lot of times in those kinds of situations, "Oh, boy, shut up. It's just a girl. Get the hell out my face." There's a fine line between coddling and actually validating and caring. And a lot of parents are not taught that. You know why? Because their parents didn't do it to them. We grew up, us 80s, 90s babies, even before then, we grew up with a lot of emotionally immature parents. And that shit has trickled on down into how we are parenting. I decided to change that shit early. I decided early, this does not feel good. I'm not doing this to my children. I decided early, when I look into my child's face and I can see that anguish, I'm not continuing this. I gotta change. But again, I'm different. I am. I'm just built different. My emotional intelligence comes from somewhere else. My shit ain't human. I know it ain't. But anyway, but a lot of us did not receive that. So we either didn't know how to, do it. Because we weren't taught. It wasn't shown to us. It wasn't given to us. So we don't know how to give it and show it, right? But that foundation that you built in that child up through age 8, 9, 10, that is what is going to be reflected back to you when they get into those teenage years. And here's the thing, when you decide to change, or if you have some kind of moment where you're like, you know what, maybe I do need to change the way I'm doing things. Maybe I need to change the way I'm approaching. Maybe I need to change my language. Maybe I need to stop calling them names, or maybe I need to stop doing some of these harmful behaviors that you've now caught on to, or now that they're big enough to say, or that you've given them space, giving them a safe space to say, yes, this is how you make me feel, or I feel this way when you use this language with me. When they get big enough to be able to formulate more sentences, when they get big enough to start standing up for themselves, the damage is already done. So now their defense is always up. And guess what? It's usually going to come out in those heated moments. They're going to go right back. Psychologically, they're going to go right back to that 2-year-old, that 8-year-old who did not get the validation and the protection, the emotional and mental protection from you when they needed it. We put our kids in defense mode early on in life and don't even realize it. Because again, our own parents didn't create that safe space for us. Our own parents were not validating. Our own parents were not there emotionally and mentally for us. Our own parents were raised on, I'm going to provide the physical shit. You got somewhere to lay your head, you get hot meals, you got somewhere to wash your ass, you got electricity, I make sure you get to school. That's it. I might sacrifice to put you in some sports. That's it. But the mental and emotional shit is not there. So even when you do decide, oh crap, you know what, maybe I do need to change my parenting style, a lot of times it's too fucking late. You have already built a fucked up foundation with these kids. And every time something comes up, every time some kind of volatile situation comes up, whether it's a moment where you need to discipline them, they are bracing for war. They are bracing for, she's not protecting me. It's already embedded. And at that point, those babies need counseling. Those babies need help. They need help unpacking that fucked up foundation that you put on them. And I know it can be frustrating. You feel like I've done so much. I've done it. I've changed. I've done my part of the deal here. They're not doing their part. And it's because they need help unrooting. They need counseling. They need for you to come to them and say, you know what? I acknowledge I fucked up so badly in childhood. Let's go unpack this together. Let's go to therapy together. You can't just send them off by themselves and say, hey, go heal on your own. Because at that point, you're still invalidating. You're still not taking accountability. That's still a way of not taking accountability for what you did. You are the reason they need therapy. And guess what? 9 times out of 10, you still need therapy. I had a mom tell me, you know what? I know I have wounds, but I pushed that aside so I could parent. It doesn't work that way. Because those wounds still show up in the way that you parent. Those wounds still show up. It shows up with you not knowing how to properly validate them when they're coming to you with a problem. It shows up in your reactive ways when they come to you with a problem, or when they're getting in trouble, or when they're trying to explain themselves, and you're either being too paranoid, you're being accusatory, you're not really listening to them, or you still don't have the emotional maturity to help them through their problems. Or you still don't have the emotional maturity to act as an adult, and that doesn't help them. So the best way you can help your child, whether it's still when it's in those formidable years, or it's after the fact when you're doing already created that fucked up foundation, is still to go fix yourself so you can still address them from a different way of parenting, a healed version of you to help them. But unfortunately, y'all be trying this gentle parenting or trying to change, and it's not anything wrong with that, because you're now at a point where you're like, maybe I don't need to do this anymore. Maybe I don't need to yell to get my point across. Maybe I don't need to use name calling to get my point across. Or maybe I don't need to be so reactive when I talk to my children. It's great you had that self-awareness. It's amazing, but it might be too late. You cannot gentle parent a child that was, abused in childhood. Especially if you haven't already addressed the reasons why you fucked them up. You gave them a fucked up foundation because of your own wounds. You can't just push your wounds to the side and say, okay, now I'm going to parent. No, because those wounds aren't going anywhere. Because guess what? Everything your children do is going to trigger you. It's going to trigger you back to your childhood. And it's going to trigger you back to the ways that you felt gaslit. It's going to trigger you back to the ways you weren't, showed up for when you needed it. There is no separation. You have got to still fix yourself if you want things to change. At the end of the day, in this dynamic, in this relationship, you are still the parent. You are still supposed to be the mature one. You're still supposed to be the one that can lead the relationship. It's not on the child. And it's so heartbreaking because we do not give children the grace that they deserve. We don't look at them as growing adults, we don't look at them as the growing human beings they are. They start to look like, adults. They start to talk crazy because they don't have a deeper vocabulary to properly express themselves. So they say shit out the way, and we take it personally because of our own immaturity, right? There is no separation. If you want to help your child, if you want to help your teenager, if you want to still have a relationship with your kids once they, after they turn 18 and get the hell up out your house, if that's the plan, you still got to go fix you. There is no building a relationship with them when a version of you fucked them up. No matter how much you've changed or trying to do things differently, you still got to address the part of you that raised them the way you did. The part of you that traumatized the fuck out of them kids. It's not easy. This shit didn't come with a handbook. But you have to start accepting mental and emotional health is a very real thing. And trauma is real. That shit runs deep. That's the reason why you fucked your own kids up, because of your own trauma. The math ain't mathing. You cannot push aside your own fucking wounds and expect there to be change in the relationship with your child when you're the one that wounded them. You still got to address your shit. Because if you don't, you're never gonna have a more mature perspective. You're never gonna really have that parenting perspective that you should have had during those formidable years for them. You still have to change. It's not just about surface change. It's not just about, oh, I don't name call anymore, or oh, I don't yell at them anymore, or oh, they're allowed to express themselves to me now. There's a whole healing that has to happen with you as well as the parent, because there's a reason you traumatized those kids in childhood. There's a reason. There's a reason. It's not easy. If you need help unpacking, I'm here. I know it's not easy. But in order for you to have that relationship, if you want it, you still have to fix yourself. It's not all on them kids. It can't be. You still have to fix yourself. There's no way around it. You still have to fix yourself.